What's going on? A to Z Sports. Sam Phelan coming at you here for Titans at 2. Take 2. I recorded this, went through the whole thing, whole spiel, came back, watched it back, no audio. Mic was not working. So hopefully this one's working a little bit better as I get into what Brian Callahan said in his press conference over at St. Thomas Sports Park earlier today. Callahan facing the music, taking some questions, some difficult questions to answer because the Titans get blown out by the Detroit Lions. They fall to 1-6, and maybe more importantly, special teams continues to be an issue. They give up 3 long returns, 2 punt returns, one of them a 90-yard touchdown by former Tennessee Titan Khalif Raymond, a kick return, another long return that was called back for a holding. They are now top 5 in the league in procedural penalties on special teams. So it's a disaster on special teams, and yet Colt Anderson remains with the job. That's what Brian Callahan indicated to Titans media in today's press conference. Here's how the Titans head coach kicked things off, and then I'll give you some thoughts, breaking it down on why I'm not loving what I'm hearing from Tennessee's coaching staff.
Not much to report from last night. Again, injury-wise, dealing with a couple things here and there, but nothing that any definitiveness right now. So we'll see what Wednesday brings. A couple more days, but no one, that's from yesterday. We had nobody real issues. So we'll see where we are come Wednesday. But as of right now, just working through all the normal bumps and bruises that we get.
What kind of conversation have you had with Colt in the aftermath of all that happened on special teams yesterday?
Yeah, watch the tape together, see where it went wrong, see what issues we had and where they came up, and where we can fix them. What things we can do differently to make sure we put a better execution on the field, better schematics on the field, whatever that may be, to help us be better than it was on Sunday, because we can't have that. That's not at all acceptable in that regard. So got to find some solutions, and again, it can come a lot of different ways. We're working hard on it today on what we can do differently to help that process out.
It seemed like there were some.
So Callahan is correct, right? Unacceptable. Titans need to find some solutions, but it's interesting. The conversations he's had with Colt Anderson since the Lions game involves watching tape and trying to find solutions with Colt Anderson, implying that he's going to be around and remain a coach with the Titans, which I don't know if it's a surprise, but I certainly think it's the wrong decision. The Titans are, let me pull up the stats real quick. The Titans, are one of the worst teams. They are 31st in average kick return yards allowed, 32nd dead last in average punt return yards allowed. They haven't gotten many returns themselves. They're 24th in punt return yards gained and 19th in kick return yards gained, all while, as I said earlier, being top 5 in penalties on special teams. Colt Anderson does not do the job well. I don't know why Brian Callahan seems to believe that this is going to magically fix itself. When he was asked later on in the press conference exactly why Colt Anderson, he has faith in him as a special teams coordinator, he cited his experience. Another thing I have a problem with. I'll tell you guys about that, but before I do it, a reminder that Titans at 2 is brought to you by Lipscomb Sports Analytics Department. Lipscomb Sport Analytics, where data meets the game. Analyze, strategize, and revolutionize by turning your passion into profession over at Lipscomb. Get off the sidelines and into the action with Lipscomb Sport Analytics program, where you'll learn to make the calls that count. They give you game-changing insights and career-defining skills at Lipscomb. I went to Lipscomb. I was able to turn my passion into profession, so I can give you firsthand account of what Lipscomb's able to do for you. They're well connected within Nashville. They've got all sorts of networking resources for you, as well as great faculty and staff to help you in your journey, whatever your passion is, and especially if your passion is in sports. At Lipscomb, they're not just watching the game, they're changing how it's played. So if sport analytics sounds interesting to you, hit up my friends at Lipscomb and go beyond the box score. All right, let's get into what Brian Callahan said, because naturally the follow-up, knowing that Colt Anderson is going to remain this team's special teams coordinator, is why. Why do you believe in Colt Anderson?
Played for 8 years as a player. He was under one of the best special teams coaches in football, I think, in Darren Simmons in Cincinnati. So he's got the experience and the wherewithal to understand where the special teams issues are. And then you got Anthony Levine in there with him, who also has seen a lot and played a lot under John Harbaugh in Baltimore. So those guys got great special teams experience. They understand what they're looking at and what there is, and we have to do a better job all the way around. But those guys know special teams, and they know what the solutions are, and we have to make sure we implement them and do them, because I think they're good young coaches. But again, they're young coaches too, just like there's a couple of us are, and we have to do a better job all the way around.
Those guys know special teams and they know what the solutions are. I got to call BS. Like I'm not buying it from Brian Callahan. Maybe he believes that. I don't know. But if if Colt Anderson and Anthony Levine, even to a lesser extent, but if these guys knew what the solutions were, they would have been fixed. They would have been implemented. The special teams errors with the Titans right now are not some anomaly that just popped up and reared its ugly head in Detroit. This was not a 1 week issue that needs to be resolved. This is a long lasting thing that has plagued them since week 1. You lost the game against the Chicago Bears because you had a blocked punt that was returned for a touchdown and because you gave up a long kick return in that game as well that set up the Bears for a field goal. There was 10 points. There was your football game. You could argue you lost the game against the New York Jets with another blocked punt. They gave the Jets a short field, set up a go-ahead touchdown, and late in the third quarter. There's your football game. So special teams has been a continued problem. We've watched it on tape every week. They've tried to make adjustments and they failed. So maybe Colt Anderson and Anthony Levine, if I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm really going to refer specifically to Colt Anderson here, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say, maybe he does know what he's seeing. Maybe he does know what the solutions are. He can't coach it. He can't coach it up and put the schemes in place to make changes. This is an issue that we see come up in sports all the time. This idea of a guy can do something. I know, hey, he played 8 years as a player in the league. He worked under one of your favorite special teams coordinators in Cincinnati. That doesn't mean he can do it himself. So while I understand that this is a difficult decision for Brian Callahan for personal reasons of having a relationship with Colt Anderson, for personal reasons because Colt Anderson is the only coach Brian Callahan brought over from the Cincinnati Bengals with him to the Titans staff, that makes it difficult. The results speak for themselves. And it's a results-based league. Brian Callahan says that more than anybody. You are what you put on tape. What the Titans special teams puts on tape is atrocious. And somebody needs to be held accountable. Otherwise, you're complacent as an organization. You're 1-6 after spending over $200 million on free agents. You consciously chose to cut key special team players, Hassan Haskins, Anthony Kendall, Matthew Jackson. You made those moves. You've moved Nick Westbrook-Ikine now from special teams more into offense so that he can be more of an offensive contributor for you. But you've done this stuff consciously, and now it's burning you. And your unwillingness to make a change is concerning to me. The fact that you still have faith in this coaching staff is concerning to me. And that's another reason why I understand this is a hard choice, because Brian Callahan wants to remain steadfast in his vision for the organization, his vision for his staff, his vision for his team. But you can still do that and also know that, hey, we have standards here. Tennessee Titans football has standards. It doesn't seem like they have standards. Rand Carthon has not seemed like he has had standards with what he said to Nick Suss of the Tennessean, where he says, I expect our guys to continue to play hard, which is what they do. The ball's not round. You don't know which way it's going to bounce sometimes. It's those couple of opportunities that we had in the game where we jar the ball loose, but it bounces right back to them. And then on the other side of things, it gets away from us. So you can't predict which way the ball's going to bounce. But one thing I know about our team is they're going to show up every day at practice. They prepare and they come out and fight. Does this team fight? I don't think the Titans fight. I don't think they handle adversity well at all. I think things spiral on them, snowball on them. They have not played complementary football in any phase at all this year, but especially not on special teams. You score, get a big touchdown drive, go tie the game up, What do? Give up a big return. You're going into halftime knowing you need to set the tone. What do? First punt return, touchdown. The things you have put on tape are not, we just need the ball to bounce our way. That's excuse making. That's pathetic from Rand Carthon. This idea that the Titans are a few bounces away from being competitive. Anybody that watched that game saw how easy it was for the Detroit Lions, how manhandled the Titans were. That's a good Super Bowl contending football team. And then there's every other team, and then there's you towards the bottom of the league, staring down the top 3 pick in the draft. If you want to shrug your shoulders, point to the ball didn't bounce our way and not make any changes, fine by me, but nothing's going to change. You're going to keep losing. And you're probably going to be the ones held accountable eventually. I don't understand it. I don't get the logic behind it. I know it's a tough decision, but sometimes that's the business. I don't like rooting for guys to get fired. I don't like rooting for guys to lose their job. Colt Anderson should not have a job with this team. The results speak for themselves. That's all I can say on it. Thank you to Lipscomb making Titans at 2 happen. Thanks for staying patient with me. We came with a little bit of an abbreviated version for this part 2 here because, I'm saying the same stuff, so, hopefully it was still as insightful as you guys hoped, hearing what the head coach had to say. Until next time, which will be tomorrow when I'm back with A to Z Sports Primetime and written content on atozsports.com, tighten up and buckle up because 2024 is in fact very ugly, and the Titans are not making any adjustments for it to be better. I'll see you guys next time.